Hello and welcome to Hitchin Farm. If you've just found us, we are a horse-drawn farm in West Wales where we offer breaking and training services and teach training courses on farming with horses. In this series, we've already covered the basics of desensitization and harnessing for the first time. And in this video, we'll be introducing the bridle and what kind of bits you should use before you start to long line.
Hi, welcome back to Hitchin Farm Working Horses, and today we're going to just talk about mouthing. We've got 3 of our rising 3-year-olds that we're just mouthing at the moment, so we're going to show you a bit of that in a moment. But first we're just talking about sort of choosing a bit. Traditionally this is a mouthing bit. You can see it's got the keys on there that'll help the horse sort of chew and chomp on that bit, but in all honesty I don't really use these anymore. They're fine if you want to use that, that's great. What I tend to now is I use a bit that they're going to have pretty much for the rest of their life. So this is a copper roller one, and you'll see in a moment that Blossom's actually got this in. And also these bits are really nice. So these pellams that have got a bit of sweet iron and copper over the tongue, they absolutely love that. And I'll be honest, these are just as good to mouth a young horse as these would be. And the reason we like the sweet iron and the copper is it's just a little bit different in their mouth, and because it's got a little bit of rust on it, they absolutely love a bit of rust. They'll chomp and chew on that for a lot longer than something that is a bit sort of plain. And the reason we want them to chomp and chew on it and salivate is because it softens their mouth. And also what we're going to do is, once we've got this bit in the horse's mouth, we'll do about 7 or 8 sessions in a row until they stop mouthing on it, and they're quite happy that that goes in their mouth, and they're quite content about it before we take the next step, which would be lateral flexion from the bits this time, not the halter. Right, so I'm just going to demo putting a bridle on. I'm sure you've all put a bridle on before and that, but with the young horses, and especially if we have horses in for training, you don't necessarily know if they're really comfortable with you being in their personal space. And you see a lot of people putting on bridles like this traditionally to guide the bit into the mouth, and what you find is you're in that horse's personal space, and a lot of horses won't like this. And you can see she's a bit standoffish with it herself. So to put our bridles on, and especially with big horses, big bits, those Liverpool driving bits, if they just accidentally flick their head round, it's a really good way to get a black eye. So by putting the bridle on like this, so holding it open with your right hand, and then guiding it in with the left hand, you can see I can stay with her as she's fidgeting and moving around, and then she can accept the bit, and my forearm is against her temple, so if she swings her head round, I'm sort of protected, and that's really important. And then we can pop those ears in and do the throat lash up. And with our work horses, we do the throat lash pretty tight, and they have to get used to that, because when they're working as a team, these guys, especially with all this mane and hair, they're going to get hot and sweaty, and when they get itchy, they're more likely to rub that bridle off. So better that your throat lash is pretty snug. And then as far as mouthing is going, she's been doing this now for about a week, I suppose, and you can tell that she's sort of getting happy with it because she's actually stopped mouthing. She's gone past that. My next test would be that I just tweak the bit, and you can see she actually had no reaction at all to that. So that means that she's ready to move on to the lateral flexion from the bit. If I just tweak that with just a little bit of pressure, I'm not yanking on it, and she mouthed a lot and the tongue was coming out and everything else, I'll just keep doing it for another couple of days. And these sessions really depend upon that horse. So what you find is it's probably a 15-20 minute session where she's tied up, got her bridle on, and she can just stand there and chew on it. And sometimes, like we'll show you with striding now, not only will we put the bridle on, but we'll just put the whole harness on. And it's a really important part of this horse's education to be in harness and tied up, because it's going to spend quite a lot of its life doing that, and it's going to be happy and comfy doing it. So we do have a massive array of bits, and I'll be honest, a lot of people just end up giving us bits, and we do sort of collect them. And we got all sort of shapes and sizes, because when we do breaking and training, we have everything from miniature Shetlands to massive Ardennes and Brabant horses here, so selection is ideal. But really, normally it's either just a snaffle like this, or when they actually get out on the road, they have to have a Liverpool driving bit in their mouth, and it's purely for insurance purposes and nothing else. But again, so that's mostly the sort of bits we use, not this one anymore, because if you notice, there's movement in it, and that's more likely to pinch your horse's mouth, so that's why he's up on the wall, he's obsolete at this point. So, yeah. So here's Strider, he's doing the same thing as Blossom, but we got a full set of harness on him. Just a point for anyone that's trying to do this at home with their horse, even though you shouldn't leave them unattended, what you should do is like be aware, be around the yard with them while they're mouthing their harness. Also tie their traces up, because even though you've got a really good hook there to put it in, if for whatever reason that trace did fall down, it's going to get wrapped around that horse's legs, and if you haven't done the desensitization around that horse's legs, it's obviously just going to upset it and cause it an issue. So for the 2 seconds it costs, just tie them up, keep them safe.
This time tied up is also a really good opportunity to do some more desensitization work. So here you can see Mike is desensitizing them to the bouncing of the swingle tree. As our horses do farm work as well as driving, they quite often have their swingle trees dragging behind them, and so we think that this kind of desensitization is important. And as you can see here, Onyx on the right is slightly more worried about this than Blossom on the left. Just goes to show with the same amount of work, and even with the same similar breeding here, not all horses are made equal, and some of them will take to it quicker than others, and some are naturally more brave.
Right, so now we're going to do Blossom's first time with the lateral flexion on the bit. When I put a little bit of pressure on this rein, which is attached to her bit, this is still on her halter. All I'm looking for to start with is that ear to come back and be on me. And then I'll release it, let her have a little rub so she realises that's what I want. Because really this is still part of your connection work. When I ask, I want her to respond and be aware of what I'm wanting. So here we go, I'll pop this up here. And again, it's not a lot of pressure on this. Just wait till her ears go forward so that she's not cheating. Right, so what we're going to do is a little bit of pressure. There you go. Good girl. And as soon as she comes round to the pressure, I just let it go, and then she can have a little rub. And wait for her to sort herself out. There you go. So same again. Good girl. So hardly any pressure, and she's already responding to it. And as long as they're doing that, I'm more than happy to move on to the next step, which will be long reining. So in the next day or so, when we get a moment, we'll start the long reining process in the round pen, and we'll show you that directly.
It may not look like much, but this kind of work is a real mental workout for a young horse, and as you can see here, the boys are really feeling it. You may remember Grace from our previous videos. She's already been trained to drive, but her owner had quite a lot of problems with her being quite rushy and not very happy in the cart. Obviously she's further ahead than the boys, and this is showing what stages they will go through next. So here she's being long lined, and she's also undergoing some extra desensitization. This stage is not actually something we'll do with our own horses particularly. This is because she has some issues with anxiety, and you can see that this desensitization work is carried out until she learns to relax with the noise. And there you go. Now she looks nice and relaxed. The next stage after that is pulling a tyre. She's already been desensitised to noise behind her with her blinkers on, and so this is the next small step that we take with them before she goes on the side of the cart to either be sidelined or hitched in as a pair, which is what we'll be showing you in our next video with our own horses. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe.